Hey yo, my name is Sarah, and today's book review is on Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. Non-spoilers, I give this book a 3 out of 5 stars. The title pretty much tells us what this story is about because we have main characters set in back like 1880 London, that time period, and they start getting in the bodies of the victims of Jack the Ripper. So you know what that means. We're off to stalk ourselves a Ripper. Now, our main character, her name is Audrey Rose, and she's a young lady in Victorian England, and she is working with her uncle as a person that studies death. So they are the ones that get in the bodies, and one of her uncle's assistants, his name is Thomas, and them two kind of basically team up together to try to stop Jack before he finds his next victim. Now, I kind of hyped myself going into this book because I thought it'd be like a big time thriller mystery trying to find Jack, but because I'm really familiar with the case, and for those who are familiar with Jack the Ripper murder case, it's pretty much the background set of this book, and we just basically get in the bodies that come in. A little bit of Detective Sherlock Holmes going around, but besides that, I kind of hyped myself up too much, and it was a good read. But if you're familiar with the case, then you're pretty much just going through it one more time. The characters, oh my god, they got on my nerves a lot. Audrey Rose has her own personal issues with being a woman in Victorian England society, and Thomas, who is a pretty much know-it-all, and he can show off his intellect by reducing fact, elements of elimination and all that stuff, and he always talks about it, and I kept getting a little frustrated with these characters. The writing sometimes felt a little off. I would say it felt like I was at one spot, that I jumped to another spot, or I was really confused. I had to reread a certain scene. The only downfall I would have to say is that, again, I'm familiar with the Jack the Ripper murder cases, so if someone is familiar with it, you already know what's happening with all the victims that he's taking and how it's causing such, mayhem for the police and the news reporters to try to, identify, catch him and all that stuff. And you know how it's causing a little bit, I guess you could say, more chaos for the people because they want Jack the Ripper caught already. If you're already familiar with that, again, it's basically touching up on the case again. It's like the backdrop. All in all, I just kind of hyped myself a little too much for this book, but it was still a good read. I am, though, looking forward to the next books in the series. And that's as far as I can get into non-spoilers. Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. 3 out of 5 stars. Bye, non-spoilers! Spoilers. So like I said, Audrey Rose, she is an apprentice under her uncle who teaches at a university and assists the police with, bodies. So I thought he was like an undertaker, but no, he's one of the professional people that examines bodies and gives his opinion to help, aid in the case. And were people allowed back then to perform autopsies in front of classes to give lessons on potential victims of Jack the Ripper? Because they have Mary Ann Nichols in his class. I'm like, wait. I'm sitting next to Audrey dressed as a man as well. This sounds familiar. She might be the first victim, and she was. And they also take the body back to do more extensive work with Thomas, who, oh boy, it just gets really interesting when those two, Audrey Rose and Thomas, are together. And speaking of the very first few chapters of this book, I was already throwing in my guesses as to who Jack the Ripper was, and Audrey Rose, you need better men in your life, because we have father, Nathaniel, who is Audrey Rose's brother, uncle, and Thomas, all the men in Audrey Rose's life, and I was already throwing suspicion on them because we have uncle first. Let's go with uncle, because Audrey Rose always mentioned that he had like inner demons in himself, like he got too into the dead bodies, like Dr. Stein kind of much from Soul Eater. But this was the first clue that kind of made me suspect, oh, he's Jack the Ripper. Uncle slipped a black overcoat on and removed something I couldn't quite see from a box near a desk. I know that was very vague and not really descriptive, an actual sentence, but it's like, he's getting something that she can't see. Next is Thomas, because he literally just shows up in the middle of them dissecting a body that Audrey Rose is practicing on, and he's kind of described like this. The door to the laboratory crashed against the wall, revealing a silhouetted male. It was impossible to see exactly what he looked like or how old he was, with a hat tucked so low over his brow and his overcoat practically touching the ground, but he is very tall. Hat low to the brow, coat very long, almost touching the ground, and everything. I was like, isn't that like one of the cartoon sketches people put in the London newspaper when they suspected what Jack the Ripper kind of looked like? I was like, Thomas is very suspect. But then again, we find out he's just a know-it-all and likes to prove it, very much so. Next is Audrey Rose's father, who I would say is too overprotective of her, and he is very scared in a way of losing her because he lost his wife to a fever, and he, I guess you could say, is also germophobic because he's very about germs. But here's another reason why I think he was Jack the Ripper. I caught him sharpening knives and talking to himself the other morning when he thought everyone was still asleep. He rubbed his temples, his smile fading. Perhaps he thinks he can stab germs before they enter our home now. Now, Nathaniel was talking about how he spotted his father sharpening knives very intimately, probably thinking he could stab all the germs away. I was like, father cleaning knives and in a way that one would think he could stab. I don't know. And last but not least, we have Nathaniel, who again is almost like Uncle, very one-sentenced, but again, my suspicions were flagged. A bit warm for leather gloves, don't you think? Audrey Rose made observation with her brother wearing gloves, and she mentioned, isn't it a bit warm to be wearing gloves? Again, one sentence, but again, it's already raising a flag, like possible suspect. So again, Audrey Rose, you gotta find better men in your lives, baby. We got possible suspects all year round here. Now, Audrey Rose mentions why she got into studying the dead and she wants to do basically what her uncle does, is because again, her mother passed away and her faith was really shook, and she would always pray but nothing happened, so she turned to science. And that kind of, reminded me of Frankenstein from Penny Dreadful, which is a really, really great TV show. Very sad it ended on season 3. I'm not looking forward to the spin-off that they're doing. But either way, she reminded me a whole lot of Frankenstein because after his mom died, he just completely put away his childhood and went straight to medicine and science. That's what Audrey Rose kind of reminded me of, because she's always also monologuing in her mind about comparing life and death, about her mother, how things could have happened, and a lot much about that. So she's very woman of science, as she kindly reminds us every 10 seconds, as well as how suffocating the world of men has put these chains on us women. Sweetie, I get it. Let's move on to the next topic. Now, she does do her first outing on her own for going to places where it's very unladylike and all that stuff again, but she's not really dressed like a common person, common women clothing. She still has the aristocratic clothes, even though they're very dark. But then again, she comes across Nathaniel and Thomas. Yay! What are y'all doing here? And we get a reason why they're here, because they decided to form the Knights of Whitechapel. So they're basically skulking around, listening for clues, trying to discover who Jack the Ripper is, because I believe he probably took his second victim already. I believe that's where we are in the book. And the reason why I think that is because Team Undertaker, which I called Audrey, Rose, Thomas, and Uncle, was because they did get in a body, and I believe body parts were missing. So, that's starting to become the trademark of Jack the Ripper. But then again, they're calling him Leather Apron, and they come up with the conclusion that he has a god complex, so he's taking it out on the women. We also find out that Audrey Rose's father, with the assistance of the Superintendent Blackburn, was caught buying opium, and because apparently he's been taking tonics, but it's starting to get a little out of hand, so just to shush any rumors, father is out of the picture for a few weeks. Now, we do have a strange connection between Jack the Ripper's victim as well as a potential victim to Audrey Rose's household, and that is because apparently Mary Ann Nichols worked within the household before being rotated out by Audrey Rose's father, because he had a habit of doing that for the servants, not wanting them to stay in the house for too long to bring in germs. But we also bring up the murder of Emma Elizabeth Smith, who in history was possibly rumored to be a Jack the Ripper victim, but it was really weird because she was murdered in April and Marianne was murdered in August, and why would father have a clipping of her murder? It's like interesting. Why is this happening? And it's also interesting because if this body came in months prior to Jack the Ripper, then why would Uncle have or mention this body? So I was like really confused on that part. And this is where the mystery begins, where I was like, ooh, this is very getting interesting, because apparently Emma Elizabeth was not only good friends with Audrey Rose's mother, but she was Uncle's fiance. Interesting. And how they find this out is because Audrey Rose and Thomas managed to find an old coachman that used to, work at the household that knew this information. And he also started, before dying, saying something about hidden behind the walls and that Alistair knows. And he mentions something about a curse. Then he dies. We have mystery. We got something about a wall, Edgar Allan Poe much, and something about a curse. So, and then he dies? It's like, what? Okay, he said Alistair knows, and we know that this guy used to work at, Audrey Rose's household as well. Again, everything's connecting back to this woman. So, again, okay, next step, find Alistair. Well, that doesn't work out so well because Audrey Rose and Nathaniel, they are out on a picnic, and he mentions, yeah, he used to work at our household. He was a footman. I think he works at the dogs. I go see him every now and again because we play chess. Well, Thomas also happens to stroll by with a dog. Aw. And with Thomas and the dog, Audrey Rose does go to the docks. They find Alistair, and he just died. I mean, someone just... So, coincidence much? I mean, we were just told where he works, who he was, possible location as to where to find him, and he's dead? I don't know. I mean, father is gone, so he's off the table. Thomas, so he's off the table. And Uncle's still a little suspicious, but Nathaniel, that's strike number 2. And of course, Officer Blackburn, apparently the guy that's been assisting her, Audrey Rose's father, by covering everything up, trying to keep everything quiet, very modest dude, brings her back home. And, okay, so Audrey Rose's aunt, very Victorian era woman with same ideals, and her cousin who knows how to work them to her own gains. Like I like Liz, I like that very much. She's there after Nathaniel clears everything up. I swear this woman, she got on my nerves so much. And she also mentioned the fact that even though Audrey Rose hasn't come out to society, her father has been working in the shadows trying to find her a suitor, and this is why it just gets on my nerves so much about this woman. It will be a miracle if they remain interested in that merger now. You got some serious mending to attend to. I'm organizing a tea for tomorrow afternoon. It'll do you a world of good interacting with girls your age who are interested in decent things. There'll be no more childish games or discussions of murder. Certainly no working for your uncle and his unnatural science. If your father learns of this, he'll relapse. Have I made myself perfectly clear? I'm just like, okay, Audrey Rose, I know. You keep talking about this world suffocating you so much and the constraints that it's put on women and how apparently her aunt is also enforcing these ideals. But sweetie, if you don't like what's going on, steal some stuff from the household, sell it, get your own money to yourself. Don't put it in a bank or anything. Just keep it to yourself and move out. That's just my idea. That's just my thought. But no, we still gotta put up with more of this. Her talking about how constraining it is. But there's so much I can take of that. On lighter news, Uncle's been arrested because he fits the identification, the markers of Jack the Ripper. He knows a lot about the death, apparently, because even though he works for that stuff, and he reconstructed some items that they found at the scene of the crime, so people are like, he's possibly Jack the Ripper, and we shall send him to Bedlam, where, a lot of people that go there to retrial or execution, they do go crazy after being in there, so that's possibly a bad place to put him. So, with this predicament, Thomas and Audrey Rose try to figure a way how to clear Uncle's name. And I guess Thomas takes the wrong idea that Audrey Rose is really going to do anything to get her precious uncle out, because they get the Dear Boss letter, Dear Boss, talking about, my name is Jack the Ripper and everything, and he suspects that she might have written it to clear her uncle's name because, the Dear Boss talks about some things about the murder case and how he's going to do it again. But, Uncle's name is in the clear now, and Audrey Rose had a little tiff with Thomas, which they will mandate later. So it's like, man. Now, one of my suspects are brought back onto the table because, again, we have the double murders that everyone knows about. The one where the third victim is killed and people believe that Jack was interrupted. And then we get murder number 4, where it was very gruesome. And Blackburn is there and he lets Audrey Rose, inspect the body because Uncle is getting ready to be released, so they still need someone to do that job. And she's giving out her opinion where Father shows up very angry. He also mentions to Blackburn that, I said that, all of this so you keep my daughter away from doing all this. So Blackburn is the potential suitor. Not anymore. But Father is extremely mad. And the reason why Father is now a potential suspect of being Jack the Ripper is because later on we do meet a medium by the name of Robert James Lees, and he is speaking to Elizabeth Eddowes, who is fic number 4, and that is because she said that Jack the Ripper was there. Audrey Rose was talking to him and she was very angry. So who could she have been possibly angry at? Well, that was Father. And the only reason why he was at the crime scene is because Nathaniel caved. And Audrey Rose was wondering, what did Father promise in return of his betrayal? And Nathaniel, I know Father has strike 2, but you'd have just gotten strike 3 because instead of answering Audrey Rose's question, he turns it onto Thomas by saying how he knew Uncle before because at first when Audrey Rose's mother was sick, Father went to Uncle to see if he could help with the science. That didn't work out, but apparently he worked on someone else to save, and that was Thomas's mother, and she didn't survive. So, and Thomas has this moonlighting about taking bodies that are unclaimed and working on them, and so possible rumor or weaving that he could be Jack the Ripper, maybe trying to research and just going a little too far and everything. But I'm like, okay, this is possibly true, but it's a bunch of bull because you obviously avoided Audrey Rose's question, so, and you're placing suspicion on someone else. Nathaniel, that's strike number 3. I don't know what to say more. Now we're getting closer to Jack's 5th victim, and now we finally get to where Audrey Rose says we're stalking Jack the Ripper because her and Thomas, after mending their relationship that they apparently had that I never saw because they were always butting heads, they're out on the streets searching for Father because they suspect very much that he is Jack the Ripper, and Uncle was like in complete denial about that. Either way, they managed to find his carriage in the area where Jack the Ripper's 5th victim was. And it's like, Father met the lady and he left, and Audrey Rose and Thomas followed him, but then the same lady died. So the thing, maybe he finally found a way to get back, to go kill her. And before they could confront anything, Audrey Rose decides to do it by herself because, she left to go live with Uncle after Father gave her the ultimatum, and she's like, what, screw this, I'm leaving, about time. And she goes back to the house to confront him all alone, without backup. And Father and Nathaniel's not there, so she decides to go wait in his office. And there's this big painting of their ancestor. It's like really weird, but Audrey Rose touches it and it reveals a doorway. And you know what the scroll does? Let's go investigate. Audrey Rose, you are alone without any backup. Don't at least take a weapon with you because she doesn't. And she finds a very, very, very creepy automaton made of flesh Frankenstein laboratory. Because we're thinking, Jack the Ripper took all of these body parts. Why would he want them? And you know what she finds down there? The missing body parts, as well as weird contraptions making them still living. And we find Audrey Rose's dead mother down there. He's been dead for 5 years. He's in the casket. It's like, And we find out that Jack the Ripper is playing God because he's trying to bring back the dead by using the body parts he took from his victims. Because apparently already dead body parts weren't good enough, so hey, let's take them from living donors. And it's in Father's underneath Father's study, so Father, is he possibly Jack the Ripper? But then of course Audrey Rose has to run and she bumps into Nathaniel. My suspicions were complete. Nathaniel is Jack the Ripper because he found this place to do his work in secret. He's been slipping more medication into Father's drinks, making it easier for him to get around and everything. And he's doing all of this to bring back their mother for Audrey Rose. So you've been killing people just to bring back your dead mother for your sister to make her more happy. I was suspecting something more diabolical, but when I get this explanation, I'm like, okay, sure. And even though now it's been cleared that father isn't Jack the Ripper, I get very suspect because he does come downstairs, he does see everything, and he doesn't seem so surprised. Either that he's very good at controlling his emotions or he's just given up on life, I don't know, but he scolds his son like usual and everything, and he's wondering why, if you tell Audrey Rose, because he asks Audrey Rose if you tell, Scotland Yard, they'll kill your brother and everything. I'm just like, okay, but he's still Jack the Ripper, so shouldn't we tell people? I don't know. Thomas shows up because of him and his, eliminating variables to get the facts. He's found out that Nathaniel was Jack the Ripper because forming, the Knights of Whitechapel threw people off his scent, but some other things, because remember the gloves? Well, apparently he had marks from when he slipped the knife, and so that was the cuttings right there. So Thomas tried that theory out and suspect was correct because the same thing happened to him. And he did say Scotland Yard was on the way, so he gave Nathaniel an ultimatum. Either get out of here and start your life over or turn yourself over to the police. I'm like, what? What? Okay, father being suspect is like really, really weird, but that's because it's father. And I'm like, did he really know what was going on and everything? I don't know. But for Thomas to give Nathaniel the choice of put this all in the past and start anew or face the consequences, I was like, really? What? Who? No. Nathaniel's been killing women to try to resurrect his dead mother, very weird Frankenstein way, and you're willing to give him a second chance? No! Either way, Nathaniel decides deuces, and he electrocutes himself, along with not being able to revive his dead mother. But we can't win them all. And so the book ends with father accepting Audrey Rose's idea of a profession, and he prepares her to travel to Romania to go to this amazing school to continue her studies. And you know what? Thomas is going along with her on this journey, and that's how we end the book. And are you seriously telling me we're going to leave these certain potholes as to the Emma Elizabeth Smith mystery open, as well as to how father went to go see Mary Jane Kelly before she was dead? Are you telling me we're going to end the book not addressing these two major plots that were very interesting, but they like just swept under the rug? No, we need to address this. Seriously, why mention these if we're not going to address them? I'm like, why? The biggest question in this whole book, why? And that's the end of my spoilers. So as you can see, again, if you followed closely for the Jack the Ripper murders, you already knew what was happening. You picked up the clues, even though some parts the author didn't mention. We knew what was going on. She even has a thing in the back about going over the investigation, how she put the facts, and she tweaked a little bit of them to fit the story. Emma Elizabeth Smith murder, apparently, it was suspected that she was possibly Jack the Ripper's victim, but the author, she just took it in there to weave in like a little backstory. She was very interested on what this woman's potential life could have been. And apparently Robert James Lees, the medium, he did try to assist them in the Jack the Ripper case, because back then in Victorian England, the whole contacting the ghost was the big rage back then. So I found that very interesting. Besides that, again, if you followed the murder very closely, or you just found interested and you know about the case, again, it was more of a backdrop. We just basically didn't go far into what I thought would be Stalking Jack the Ripper. We just got the bodies, made a bunch of theories, suspicions, possible murder suspects, and that was pretty much it. Everything else was just too much of Audrey Rose talking about how all the men always accused her of being a woman and thinking she can do much, or just all of that mindset, which got really, really annoying. And Thomas, who again with his know-it-all self, these characters, I just wanted to work as a separate party without them, because they just got really, really annoying, and I can't see how their weird relationship came too romantic wise. Maybe it'll become more clear in the upcoming books, more fleshed out, because they were just working together to catch a murder, and they just happened to have ties because of Uncle. But all in all, it was a good read. I enjoyed it. Even though I hyped myself up a little too much thinking it'd be a little bit more, it was still a good read. I enjoyed it, and I can't wait to continue on with the series because I know we're gonna get so many interesting historical characters that I cannot wait. So this was a good launching pad, as I would say, into the series. Stalking Jack the Ripper by Mary Maniscalco. 3 out of 5 stars. My name is Sarah, and bye!